Welcome back to Roto Moto. My name is Donnie. In this video, I will cover 5 riders I want you to look at when making your PulpMX fantasy picks for Southwick, tips for picking FFL, the weather report, race day schedule, and an early look at what my team could be come Saturday. But first, let's take a moment to recap what went down at RedBud last weekend. Shockingly, the player count was up in both general and championship players, just a few hundred, but it's a nice bump to be sure. The perfect team clocked in above 600 for the third time this season at 602. Despite a grand total of 0 riders scoring a perfect 100, mostly led by overall winner RJ Hampshire's 88 points. The most popular team had another good showing, 396 on the day, about 30 up from the championship median. Very surprisingly, the 250 FFL pick trend was actually down, despite Justin Cooper nailing all of them but 2 this season, and he went on to go 2 for 2 again this weekend to reward 2,100 players a cool 15 points. Not so much on the 450 side. Aaron Plessinger also went 2 for 2, but only about 30 people profited on that one. Interesting to see more people opt for a 450 FFL here, despite the 250 being more lopsided this season. The median championship league score was 370, meaning if you scored 371 points or more, you did better than half of the playing field. All-Stars picked per team trended upward for the first time this season from 2.41 to 2.43. The amount of riders that crossed the double point threshold in both motos fell for the first time this season. 15 in each class were able to secure at least 44 points on the weekend, but those that missed double did not go unnoticed. Michael Mosman finds himself on top of the bad pick heap again, this time with just 6 points for 1/3 of players. Same with Filthy Phil Nicoletti, who sustained an injury in Moto 1 and will unfortunately miss the remainder of the season. After the highs of High Point going 14th overall to the depths of RedBud clocking in below average, my 250 team was a mess. 3 riders combining for just 61 points. I would have had a great day on the 450 side if not for Marvin Mooskins breaking a wheel and DNFing a moto. Was really counting on him becoming an all-star for Southwick, but here we are with him at an even better handicap at a track that he absolutely crushes, and I cannot pick him. Wow, would you look at that? Depran maintains the league lead, but this time an actual icon, so he gets the love that he so deserves. A Roto Moto patron supporter from the very early on, Depran is currently sitting top 5 in the entire championship league and a great spot to bring home a bike. High Point was won by HoboHands91, another Roto Moto mainstay who has been at the top many times throughout this Supercross season. The ins and outs list stays short. Levi Kitchen will miss the race as he prepares for Loretta Lynn's. Alex Martin still out, as well as the entire Pro Circuit Kawasaki team save for Austin Faulkner, who might as well be sitting on the sidelines given his results. Derek Drake will miss this season while he undergoes a serious operation for a heart condition. Grant Harlan is missing from the entry list, and Verb Moto's Troy Dogg confirms he will not be lining up this weekend. Exciting news on the 450 front with Kyle Chisholm making his debut fittingly at an 11 handicap. Dean Wilson is expected to line up despite a list of ailments the length of a CVS receipt. Phil Nicoletti will join Zach Osborne and likely Jason Anderson on the sidelines for the remainder of the season after tearing his ACL. Be sure to confirm that a rider is on the cheat sheet before putting them on your team, and for an even easier time, you can check a little box when selecting your team that says only show riders and AMA qualifying results to only show guys that have put down a lap time. It will still show guys that could crash out, but hey, it's better than nothing. Alright, on to your picks for the 2021 Southwick National. We'll get into a full weather forecast later in the video, but I just want to clarify now that the picks I have for you are assuming that the track is raceable. Southwick is a bona fide sand track. If it ends up wet, that's going to be very difficult to predict. I would recommend setting your team full of safe, veteran guys today and tweaking from there once qualifying results are in and we have a full report on what the track is going to shape up like. I have 3 guys to target, 1 to avoid, and a high handicap guy to look at. For all of you gamblers out there, let's start with the little class and work our way up. Apparently, we're going to do it like this all year, but the guy I'm having you look away from is again a 250 All-Star. Go ahead and cross Jalik Swole from your team. The recent moto and overall winner has shown flashes of brilliance all year, including Supercross, but he just isn't All-Star pickable material here. He is the only one on the list to fail to hit his current handicap a total of 5 times. And if you take out his amazing High Point ride, he has been outside of the top 7 in 5 of the other 6 motos. Quite simply, there are just better options out there when the ceiling is only 50 points. A 250 rider that I do want you to look at is Dylan Schwartz. Full disclosure here, this was my hardest pick as there just aren't any riders in the field that really stick out. But Dylan has finished top 15 in 5 out of 8 motos this year, which is the best in the class for NonAllStars that have raced all 8. And with his 6th place moto finish at High Point, he has proven he can finish high enough to potentially hit 100 points. Now, is that likely? Absolutely not, but there just isn't a ton of value in the middle class here. Dylan is the only one that crosses a bit of reliability with a bit of upside. Onto the 450s for the all-star spot, I'm looking at Aaron Plessinger. After 2 hole shots and 5 laps led and 2 moto podiums, I expected AP's handicap to drop more, but at a 4, he was definitely my go-to. He's been top 5 in all but a single moto. The only other person that's been in the top 5 as much as AP this year is his teammate and red plate holder Dylan Ferrandis, but you're getting AP with an extra 4 handicap. And if it does get wet, even better. Another easy one for the 450 class is non-all-star pick Max Anstey. Mad Max loves the sand, Mad Max loves the slop, Mad Max loves to race dirt bikes, and Mad Max is the perfect fit for this weekend with a 5 handicap. The midfield is a bit gutted in this class as a 5 is the 4th lowest handicap for non-all-stars, which clocks him in as 12th best after adding the all-stars in. When it was sandy last season, Max clocked a 4th place moto, and when it was sloppy, he was on the podium, so either scenario, the HEP Suzuki rider should be good to go on Saturday. The Pirelli high handicap hero of the round given to a rider with a handicap of 10 or more that I think has a realistic chance to score massive points this weekend if you're the type of person that likes to sweat out 2 30-minute motos for a big payout. This week is going to be a popular one but cannot be overlooked. We're talking Chris Canning. The privateer has a 13 handicap after 4 motos, and he has finished top 23 in every single one of those. In 2018, he went 11-15 for 12th overall at this very track, in part because this is his home track. Chris lives about 45 minutes from Southwick, meaning no one knows the sandy layout quite like he does. I expect to see him have a massive pick trend, however, so keep that in mind if you were the type that liked to zig when everybody else zags. The 250 FFL is as easy as it comes. Justin Cooper has 6 of 8, and with Jeremy Martin still ailing, I don't think there's anywhere else to throw this energy. Stick with the easy option and don't get cute. The 450 FFL, on the other hand, is developing. Roxon started the year 3-4-4, but hasn't had one since. Aaron Plessinger has the 2nd best average start, and after going 2 for 2 on the weekend at RedBud, is one of only 3 riders to score FFL points. But I still think the favorite pick here is Adam Cianciarulo. He was down early in the 2nd moto, which inflates his average, but he has 3 FFLs, and if you take out that 37th place first lap in Moto 2, his average is just 2.57. The actual race day weather doesn't look terrible, low chances of rain in the morning and the first motos, but the real question marks start to form later in the day. There is at least a 40% chance of wet on the forecast starting near the end of the first 450 moto and continues until checkers fly for Moto 2. Just keep an eye out as the day plays out, pick smart, and you should be golden. The race day schedule is a typical East Coast fare. Those on the East Coast should tune into the Peacock app at 10 a.m. for qualifying, which is a very early 7 a.m. on the West Coast. I will have the qualifying cheat sheets ready for Patreon supporters as soon as the final 450 session wraps up. The rest of you will find it on Twitter and Instagram after the consolation races to fill in those final 4 spots wrap up about 45 minutes before the first moto gates drop. Before I show you my early team for High Point, I just want to take a moment to talk about this video's sponsor. I'm excited to announce that Pirelli Tire is back with Roto Moto for the Southwick weekend. Pirelli remains dedicated to the grassroots part of the sport with their "We sell what we race what we sell" motto, providing you access to the very same Scorpion MX tires used by their professional racing teams, including world champions such as Tim Geiser and Jeffrey Hurlings, as well as Cade Clayson, who rode his Pirelli Scorpions to the top of the 450 RedBud fantasy scoreboard, bringing home 86 points for the hundreds of players that picked him. This approach has allowed Pirelli to place its research and development focus on motocross, benefiting the everyday rider when they take it to their local racetrack. Alright, my Thursday night team looks like this. I have Star Racing Yamaha's Justin Cooper at a 1 for my All-Star. Not a sexy pick, but regardless if it's wet or dry, I want my All-Star out front and clear of trouble early, and no one does that better than the 32. Alongside him, I'm bringing Dylan Schwartz, as we discussed before, at a 5 handicap. Also at a 5, I'm looking at Carson Mumford, another guy that tends to do better the wetter it gets, so hopefully a little upside there. And more of the same on the reasoning for my final, Ty Masterpool at a 7 for a track that hopefully ends up rough for him. 450 side, I'm bringing Aaron Plessinger for all the reasons discussed in the meat of the video. Ditto with Max Anstey and his 5 handicap. Pairing up with them, I have the high handicap hero and Massachusetts native Chris Canning at a 12, and you already know why. Rounding out the squad, I have Justin Rodbell penciled in here at an 11, but he's also the one that I'm most likely to swap come gate drop. I'm 100% in for Justin Cooper on the 250 FFL, and as long as it's dry, I'm taking AC on the other side of the gate. Don't forget to follow at RotoMoto on Twitter and Instagram for qualifying insights, injury reports, stats, and banter as the the race goes on, and of course those ever important fantasy cheat sheets. And if you want even more help making your picks, be sure to check out and subscribe to RotoMoto on Patreon for access to the enhanced cheat sheets chocked full of more data than you can imagine to make those huge point picks. I want to give a shout out to the current Patreon supporters. This channel is made possible by good people like first-time subscriber Kyle J, as well as longtime supporters Harper, Chad H, and Cora L. Thanks as always for watching RotoMoto. My name is Donnie. I will see you on race day.